Welcome back to On the Same Page. We are on Daf Tes Vav, that's page 15a of Maseches Taanis, and we are starting a new chapter. We're starting the second parak, and today we're going to cover actually a little bit more than an amud, a little bit more than a page, because there's one big Mishnah here, which if you look in the set of Mishnah, it's broken up into different Mishnayos, but in the Gemara it brings it all as one big Mishnah. So this is the only Mishnah in this entire chapter. So in effect we're going to learn an entire chapter of Mishnayos today, because in the Gemara it's grouped as one Mishnah. So the Mishnah begins, Seder Tainios Ketzad. What was the order of the fasts? And we'll see what it really is asking is sort of what was the procedure, and most specifically about the final 7 fasts. So it says, Motziin es hateva l'rechova shel ir. They would bring the ark out to the street. V'nosnin efer makla al gabe hateva. And they would put burnt up ashes on top of the ark. Uverosh hanasi. And they put it on the top of the nasi, the prince, the leader of the Jewish people. Uverosh av basting. And they put ashes on the head of the court. And everybody actually would put ashes. So I guess there was an order. First they do it on the ark, and then on the nasi, and then on the head of the basting, and then everybody would follow and do the same thing. And the Gemara later will explain, the Gemara will go through each step of the Mishnah and explain why they did that. Hazakin shebahen. Then the elder, the oldest among them, would come forth, and Omer lifnei divrei kvushin, and he would tell them words of rebuke, of musar, basically, and he would say, Achenu, my brothers, lo nemar ba'anshe ninveh vayar elokim es sakam ve'es tanisam. It doesn't say when the people of Nineveh, right, in the story of Yonah, when the people of Nineveh did tshuva, they repented, it doesn't say God saw their sackcloth and their fasting. Ella, rather what it says is, Vayar Elokim es ma'aseyem. God saw their deeds, ki shavu midarkam hara. They had returned from their evil ways. And essentially what he's telling them is it's not just about mourning. If you want to pray to God for rain, again, they're fasting now, they haven't had rain in a long time. And we're now in the last 7 fasts, right? There were 3, then 3, and now there's a final 7. So it hasn't rained. We're fasting, but he says it's not all about the fasting and the sackcloth and it's the externals. It's more about what a person does for themselves. Do they change themselves? Do they change their deeds? And about the people of Nineveh, it doesn't say that God saw their fasting. It says he saw their deeds, that they had changed. Uve Kabbalahu Omer, in the prophets it says, this is in the book of Yoel, it says, Vikiru livavchem ve'al bigdechem. It says, tear your hearts, not your clothes. It's not just about rending your garments. It's about rending your heart, about changing yourself. That is tshuva. That says this elder who gets up and gives musar, and he challenges the people, you got to change your ways if we want things to improve. Amdu b'tfila. They would get up now to daven, to pray. Mariding lifnei ateva zaken v'ragil v'yesh lo banim ubeis orekam. And they would appoint to lead the prayers a zaken, an elder, the ragil, somebody who was experienced, knew the davening well. He wouldn't make a mistake. Rashi says it's a bad sign if he stumbles and he's making a mistake. V'yesh lo banim, somebody who had children. Ubeis orekam, and somebody who had nothing in his house, meaning he was poor. And at least that's the simple understanding. We'll see the Gemara will go further into that. But he was poor, and all this is Kedei sheyeh libo shalem b'tfila, so that his heart can be complete in tefillah. And so all of these things I guess having children gives a person a certain amount of empathy, and having being poor, he's not about the physical, the material, and he's more suitable to lead the davening. Ve'omer lifneyen esrim v'arba brachos, and he would say, we talked about this in the last chapter, 24 blessings. Yud ches shebechol yom, the normal 18 that are in any Shemona Esrei, any davening. Umosif alein od sheish, and he would add 6 new ones, 6 additional ones special for these fast days. Ve'elohein, and these are the ones he would add. Zichronos v'shofaros. So he would add the zichronos, the same thing we say on Rosh Hashanah, the verses of remembrance and the bracha, as we'll see, v'shofaros, and the blessings that accompany that talk about the power of the shofar that we say on Rosh Hashanah. So he would say those. And then he would say a number of chapters of Tehillim. And these are the chapters he would say. He would say, first of all, chapter 120, El Hashem bitzarasa li karasi vayaneni. I called out to God. This chapter begins, I called out to God in my difficulty and he answered me. And then he would say, chapter 121, which says, Esa einai el haharim, I raise my eyes to the mountains. Where will my help come from? It will come from God, etc. Then he says, chapter 130, Mimamakim kirasicha Hashem, from the depths I call out to you, God. And then he would say, this was the 6th one that he would add, Tefillah la'ani kiyatov. This is chapter 102, the prayer of a poor person when he faints or swoons. These were the chapters that he would add in. Rabbi Yehuda says, Lo hayatzarech lomar zichronos v'shofaros. Now he wouldn't say zichronos and shofaros, the remembrances and the shofar chapter, like Keser and Rosh Hashanah. No, he wouldn't say that on a fast day. Instead, he would say the following 2 things to make up the 6. This first one is from the book of Melachim, where it says, Ra'av kiyeh ba'aretz, dever kiyeh. This is something that I believe Shlomo HaMelech said. As we'll see later, we'll talk about it later. He said this when they brought the Aron into the Beis HaMikdash. He said a tefillah, and his tefillah was that regarding if there will ever be a famine in the land or plague, etc. And so we say that here where there's famine, we say that tefillah of Shlomo HaMelech. And secondly, the second one that replaces shofaros is Asher Haya Dvar Hashem El Yirmiyahu Al Divrei HaBetzaros. This was from the book of Yirmiyah. It says, and God's word came to Yirmiyah on the matter of the famines. So those were, according to Rabbi Yehuda, the 2 that were added in instead of zichronos and shofars. The Omer Chosman, says the Mishnah, and you would add in these 6 blessings, these 6 paragraphs, and you would have a bracha of chasima, a bracha of closing, of sealing, that somehow related to the paragraph that was added on. So Al Harishona Hu Omer, on the first one he would say, and we'll see what we mean by the first one here is actually not the first of those 6. It's preceding the 6. It's in these 6 were inserted in the Shemona Esrei after the bracha of Re'ev Yanu, of Goel Yisrael, that God redeems us from our daily challenges. That's where these 6 were inserted. And here, when it says Al Harishona, it actually means in that bracha of Goel Yisrael, there was something that was added in. It's the following. Omer, he would say, the Chazan would say, Misha'anas Avram Bahar HaMoriah. He, God, who answered Abraham on Har HaMoriah, the mountain of Moriah, Hu Yaneschem, he should answer you, V'ishma B'kol Tza'akaschem, and he should listen to your voice crying out, Hayom Hazeh, on this day. And then you conclude that blessing, Baruch Atah Hashem Goel Yisrael, as you normally did. Blessed is God who redeems Israel from their daily difficulties. So that was the first thing added in. That's preceding these six blessings. Al Ashniya, and the second thing which was added in, which is now the first of those 6, who Omer, he would say, we already said that the paragraph that he added in was Zichronos, the remembrances. So how do you finish off the blessing of remembrances? It's not actually the way that we do it, or not exactly the way we do it on Rosh Hashanah. It's slightly different because you say, Misha'anas avosenu al Yam Suf, he who answered our fathers on the Yam Suf, Hu yaneschem v'yishma kol tza'akaschem. He should answer you and hear your crying out, hayom hazeh, on this day. And then you finish the blessing, Baruch atah Hashem, zocher hanishkachos, the one who remembers the things forgotten. So remembrances, we're crying out to God to remember us. And Rashi explains the reason why here we mention the Yam Suf, which relates to Yetzias Mitzrayim, the Exodus from Egypt, is because it says by Egypt that the people crying out and God remembered them. So there's remembrances associated with us being taken out of Egypt. That's why we mention sort of the end of that, where Hashem splits the Yam Suf for us and completely redeems us. Ala Shlishis, the third thing he adds in, which is going on the second paragraph of Shofaros, who Omer, he says, Misha'anas Yoshua ba'Gilgal, he who answered Yehoshua in the Gilgal, hu ya'aneschem, he should answer you, v'yishma b'kol tza'akaschem, and listen to your voice crying out, hayom hazeh, on this day, Baruch atah Hashem, shomei trua, blessed are you God, who listens to the sound of the trua, of the shofar. And here, the reason why we are mentioning Yoshua is because Yoshua in Gilgal, that was the battle of Yericho where they blew shofar. So we say, oh God, just as you remembered Yoshua with his shofar, so remember us as we recite these prayers and verses regarding the power of shofar. Al Haraviyas Omer, the fourth thing he adds in, which is going on the third paragraph which we add. And the third one was Kel Hashem b'tzarasali karasi vayaneni, that God, El Hashem, to God, in my trouble I cry out and he answers me. So there we conclude with who Omer, he says, the blessing that you conclude that with is Misha'ana Shmuel b'mitzpah, he who answered Shmuel in mitzpah, hu ya'aneschem, he should answer you, v'yishma b'kol tza'akaschem, and listen to your crying out, hayom hazeh, on this day, Baruch atah Hashem, shomei tza'aka, blessed are you God who listens to the crying out. And the reason why we mention Shmuel here, Rashi tells us, is because Shmuel said, Kel Hashem b'tzarasali. If you look in Shmuel Aleph, so Shmuel actually said at that time, El Hashem, to God. I keep making that mistake. El Hashem b'tzarasali, to God in my trouble. So that's very similar to this, almost identical to this chapter of Tehillim that we are reciting. So therefore, when we recite this chapter of Tehillim, we reference at the end, as the closing blessing, we mention Shmuel. Then the Mishnah says, right, and the closing blessing there is Baruch atah Hashem shomei tza'aka, he listens to crying out, because also by Shmuel it says Vayizak el Hashem, and he cried out to God. So that's why we're meant, the closing of the blessing is the one who listens to tza'aka, to crying out. Ala chamishisu omer, the fifth thing that you add in, which is going to match up to the fourth paragraph that's being added. So the fourth paragraph was I raise my eyes to the mountains, where will my help come from? And there we conclude with the blessing, Misha'anas Eliyahu b'har Carmel, hu ya'aneschem, he who answered Eliyahu on Mount Carmel, he should answer you, v'yishma b'kol tza'akaschem, hayom hazeh, and listen to your crying out this day. Baruch atah Hashem shomei tefillah, blessed are you Hashem who listens to our prayers. And here we mention Eliyahu on Mount Carmel, the episode of Eliyahu being answered on Har Carmel, because we are saying the paragraph of Esainai el harim, I raise my eyes to the mountains, so we mention the events of Mount Carmel. And we conclude with Baruch atah Hashem shomei tefillah, because Eliyahu said, Aneni zu tefillah, answer my tefillah. Ala shishis. The sixth thing we add in, which is going to correspond to the fifth paragraph being added in, which was Mimah makim kirasicha Hashem, from the depths I call to you, Hashem. Who Omer, you add in for that. The closing of that blessing is Misha'anas Yona mimei hadaga. he who answered Yonah in the innards of the fish. Hu ya'aneschem, he should answer you. V'yishma b'kol tza'akaschem, and listen to your cries. Hayom hazeh, on this day. Baruch atah Hashem ha'oneh be'es tzara. Blessed are you, God, who answers in times of difficulty. And the reason why we mention Yonah is because Mima Makim, from the depths, right? When he was in the depths of the sea, Hashem answered him. And the reason why we close is with Ha'oneh be'es tzara, he who answers at a time of difficulty, is because Yonah said, Karasi mitzara li, I called out from my pain, from my difficulty. So we also mention Ha'oneh be'es tzara, the one who answers at a time of difficulty. Al Hashvi Omer, the Mishnah says, and for the seventh thing that we add in, which is going to correspond to the sixth paragraph, and the sixth paragraph was Tefillah la'ani ki yatov, the tefillah of the poor person when he swoons. Omer, you say, Misha'ana is David ve'Shlomo beno b'Yerushalayim. He who answered David and Shlomo his son in Jerusalem. Hu ya'aneschem, he should answer you, v'yishma b'kol tza'akaschem, and listen to all your crying out, hayom hazeh, on this day. Baruch atah Hashem, blessed are you, Hashem hamerachem al haaretz, who has mercy on the land. And the reason why the connection between the praying for the land and David and Shlomo is that both David and Shlomo prayed for the land. David had this experience where there were 3 years of famine, and he had to respond to that, and Hashem answered him. And Shlomo also, when he brought the Aron, the Ark, into the Kodesh HaKadosh, and the Holy of Holies of the Beis HaMikdash, when he dedicated the Beis HaMikdash, so as we mentioned before, he said a prayer, a tefillah, and that began, Ra'av ki yeh ba'aretz, when there will be a famine in the land, and he davened for the land. So therefore, in connection to David and Shlomo, we say, Hamerachim al haaretz, who has mercy on the land, that God should also have mercy on the land now, and end this drought. Yeah. Okay. So those were the 6 blessings that were added in, and they're closing blessings, and there's actually, as we saw, 7 things being added altogether, because preceding these 6 blessings in the bracha of Goel Yisrael, we also have an additional paragraph that's inserting into that already existing blessing. The Mishnah continues, Maisa, there was a story, Bimei Rabbi Chalafta, Rabbi Hanania ben Tradion, in the days of Rabbi Chalafta and Rabbi Hanania, the son of Tradion, She'avar echad lifnei hateva, that a certain person got up to lead these blessings, the Gamar es habracha kula, and he finished an entire blessing, one of the blessings, V'lo anu acharav amen, and they didn't answer amen after him. What it seems is, what they did answer was Baruch Shem Kavod Machuso Le'olam Va'ed. Praised is the honor of Hashem's kingdom forever and ever, which is something that they usually answered in the Beis HaMikdash. The Gemara says elsewhere that in the Beis HaMikdash, they didn't say Amen to blessings. They said Baruch Shem Kavod Machuso Le'olam Va'ed. And over here, it's saying in the days of Rabbi Chalafta and Rabbi Hanania ben Tradion, which was not in the days of the Beis HaMikdash, they also didn't say Amen, rather seemingly they said Baruch Shem. Then they said, Tikku HaKohanim v'tikku. Let the Kohanim blow the shofar. And then they went on and they said, Mishanas Avram Avinu v'Hara Moriah. He who answered Avram Avinu and Hara Moriah, Hu Ya'aneschem, V'yishma b'kol tza'akaschem, Hayom hazeh, he should answer you and listen to your crying out on this day. And then again they say, Hariyu b'nei Aaron, Hariyu, blow shofar, the sons of Aaron, the Kohanim, blow shofar. And then they continue, Mishanas Avosinu al Yam Suf, he who answered our forefathers on the Yam Suf, at the splitting of the sea, Hu Ya'aneschem, he should answer you, V'yishma b'kol tza'akaschem, and listen to all your crying, Hayom hazeh, on this day, and so on, for each blessing. That was what happened. And apparently they didn't say Amen to the blessings, they said Baruch Shem. Ukishebah davar eitzel chachamim, and when the matter came before the sages, Amru, they said, Lo hayinu nagin king ela b'shar hamizrach v'har habayis. We used to only do that by the east gate and on the Temple Mount. Meaning that was something that was, even in the time of the Beis HaMikdash, that was very specific to the Beis HaMikdash. They didn't do that in other places. Other places they would say Amen. And therefore, it's improper that they were doing this, that they weren't saying Amen, rather they were saying Baruch Shem. They should have that was something very specific to the Beis HaMikdash. That is seemingly how Rashi learns this Mishnah. Others learn differently. Others actually have a version that says that they did answer Amen. And the issue was that they were blowing shofar, or trumpets, or whatever it was. It's actually not clear if it was shofar or trumpets. But whatever it was, they were blowing these blasts. And that's what the sages were unhappy about. And they said, no, they only did that in the Beis HaMikdash. They never did that outside the Beis HaMikdash. And so nowadays it shouldn't be done outside where we no longer have a Beis HaMikdash. The Mishnah continues, it says, Shalosh Tainios Harishonos. For the first 3 fasts, so as we mentioned, there were sets of fasts. If it didn't rain, they'd fast 3 fasts. If it still didn't rain, another 3. If it still didn't rain, another 7. So for those first 3, Anshe Mishmar Mis'anin V'lo Mashlimin. So the avoda, the service of the Beis HaMikdash, was divided among 24 families of Kohanim. And each of those families had 2 weeks of the year that they serviced the Beis HaMikdash. Now, within a given week, though, each of those families was split into 7. And each Beis Av, we're going to see, each individual family within those larger families, clans, would have a day. So what were the other 6/7ths doing? They were there just in case. They were called the Anshe Mishmar. The Anshe Mishmar were guarding, they were there to fill in if necessary. They had service of one of those 7 days, but they would fill in if necessary. So what if it was one of these fast days? So should they fast or not? So the Mishnah says, for the first 3 fasts, Anshe Mishmar Mis'anin V'lo Mashlimin. These backup Kohanim, basically, should fast but not finish the fast. They should take part but not finish the fast because they have to maintain their strength in case they're called upon to serve, in case they need additional Kohanim. The Anshe Besa, but the people of the family that were serving that particular day, Lo Hayu Misanin Klal. They didn't fast at all. They were working. They had to do avoda in the Beis HaMikdash. They shouldn't fast at all, at least for the first 3 where it wasn't as dire, it wasn't as severe. Shalosh Nios, the second set of 3, Anshe Mishmar Misanin Umashlimin. The backup Kohanim, they would fast, and they would finish the fast. Because it's more severe, they're not necessarily needed, we may not call on them as backup, so they could fast. The Anshe Besa, but the family that was actually serving that day in the Beis HaMikdash, Misanin V'lo Mashlimin. They should fast to take part, because now it's a little bit more dire, but they shouldn't finish the fast, they have to maintain their strength. Sheva Achronos, but the final 7, Elu ve'elu Misanin Umashlimin. It's so dire that both have to fast, even those who are during the service that day should fast and finish the fast, because the situation is very desperate. Divrei Rabbi Yoshua, that was the opinion of Rabbi Yoshua. The Chachamim Omrim, but the Chachamim said, other sages said, differently. Shalosh Tainios Harishonos, Elu ve'elu lo hayu misanin klal. The first 3 fasts, nobody would fast, neither of them. Not the backups, not the ones serving currently today. Shalosh Nios, the second set of 3, Anshe Mishmar Misanin V'lo Mashlimin. The Anshe Mishmar would fast but not complete the fast, because they may be called as backup. The Anshe Besa V'lo hayu misanin klal, but the Anshe Besa, the people serving that day, on the second set of fast, still will not fast at all. Sheva Achronos, but the final 7, Anshe Mishmar Misanin Umashlimin, the backups would fast the whole fast. The Anshe Besa of Misanin V'lo Mashlimin, the ones servicing that day, would fast a little to take part, but they wouldn't finish the fast because they have to maintain their strength. So the Chachamim took a more lenient approach. So again, here's the machlokas, here's the dispute. The first 3 fasts are not as severe, right? Just starting the draft. So the opinion of Rabbi Yoshua was that the Anshe Mishmar, the backups, they would fast a little, but they wouldn't finish the fast, and the Beisa, the one servicing that day, wouldn't fast at all. The Chachamim argued and said, no, neither of them would fast at all. It's not so dire yet. The second set of 3, now it's getting a little worse. So then, the Anshe Mishmar, according to Rabbi Yeshua, the Anshe Mishmar, the backups, would actually fast the whole thing. And the Beisav, the one serving that day, would take part a little bit, but they wouldn't finish the fast. And according to the Chacham, no, the Beisav wouldn't fast at all. Now the Anshe Mishmar would start to fast a little, but wouldn't finish the fast. The backups, they do a little bit, but not the whole thing. And then when you come to the last 7, so then Rabbi Yeshua held everybody fasted the whole thing. But the Chacham said, no, the Chacham said the one service that they still can't fast. They should fast a little bit, but not finish it. The backups, they could fast the whole thing. The Mishnah continues, it says, Anshe Mishmar, now this doesn't have to do with fast, but once we're talking about the Anshe Mishmar, so it talks about them more. It says, Anshe Mishmar mutarin lishtos yayin baleilos. The backups, they were allowed to drink wine at night, avalo b'yom but not in the day. Because in the day, they may be called to service, and you're not allowed to do avoda in the Beis HaMikdash. You can't service in the Beis HaMikdash if you've drunk any wine. But at nighttime, so there were sometimes some things to do, like put animal, parts that fell off the Mizbeach back on the Mizbeach, but you didn't need the backups for that. You knew, if you did, you knew already going into the night whether they would be needed. There isn't really new avoda being introduced, so therefore it was okay for them to drink at night. The Anshe Beisav, but the people servicing that day, they couldn't drink neither by day or by night because they're needed to servicing. You can't serve in the Beis HaMikdash if you drank anything. Anshe Mishmar ve'Anshe Maimad. The Anshe Mishmar, these backup Kohanim, and the Anshe Maimad. Who are the Anshe Maimad? The men of standing. They were the people that stood around a karban and davened. Because, even though someone's bringing a karban, but you need people to daven and watch it to make sure that Hashem should accept the karban. So those people, they were not Kohanim, but they were still there in the courtyard of the Beis HaMikdash, watching and davening over the offerings. Asurin milisaper umilachabis. Once they started their job, their week where they were serving, so it sounds like the Anshe Maimad also served on a cycle, so they couldn't get haircuts or do laundry that day. And the Gemara is going to explain why, but they weren't allowed to. Ubachamishi mutar mipnei kvod Shabbos. But on Thursdays they were allowed to because you gotta get ready for Shabbos. You have to, shave and do your laundry, etc. Now the Mishnah says, different topic. Klakasav in Megillas Taanis to go lemispad. Anything that in Megillas Taanis, we've talked a little bit about Megillas Taanis before. Megillas Taanis was a book of days of rabbinic holidays, basically celebrations of different salvations and miracles that Hashem performed for us. So and it's called Megillas Taanis, the book of Taanis, of fasts, because it's days that you're not allowed to fast primarily, and days that, and some of them you can't eulogize on. So the Mishnah says that any day that it's written about in Megillas Taanis, to Lo Mispa, that you can't eulogize, Lifanav Aser, you can't eulogize the day before either, because we're afraid if you eulogize the day before, you might eulogize on the day of also. But La'achar Mutter, but once it passes the day after that holiday, you would be allowed to eulogize. Rabbi Yossi Omer Lifanav La'achar Aser. Rabbi Yossi, no, before and after is forbidding. You gotta have this buffer around that day, no eulogizing the day before or the day after. Delala his Anna, what about days like it said you can't fast? Lifanav La'achar Mutter. You're allowed to fast the day before and the day after. That's the first opinion. I guess seemingly we're not afraid somebody will come to fast 2 days in a row. Rabbi Yossi Omer, Lifanav Aser La'achar Mutter. Rabbi Yossi said, you're not allowed to fast the day before, you are allowed to fast the day after. There is some concern if you fast the day before that you might come to fast the day of. So, we have two machlokesim here, two disputes. One is about days that it says in Megillas Taanis you can't eulogize. According to the first opinion, you're allowed to eulogize the day before that. You're not allowed to eulogize the day before, but you are allowed to eulogize the day after. And Rabbi Yossi says, not before, not after. And with regards to days that it says you can't fast, the first opinion said you're allowed to fast the day before and the day after. And Rabbi Yossi said you are not allowed to fast the day before, but you are allowed to fast the day after. Then it says, Ein gozrin Taanis ala tzibur b'tchila b'chamishi. We've spoken about this earlier in the Masechta, that when you enact these series of fasts, the 3, then the 7, the first day should not be on a Thursday, shelo lehafkia hasha'arim, to not throw off market prices. Because Rashi explains, if the first day is a Thursday, and everybody shows up in the market Thursday night, not only looking for food to break their fast, but also food for Shabbos, and they're buying up all the food, the shopkeepers are going to think there's a famine going on, or there's a food shortage. Now there is, I guess, a drought, but they're going to think there's a serious food shortage, and they're going to jack up their prices. It's going to mess up the markets. So therefore, we don't start these series of fasts on a Thursday. We start on a Monday, and then by the time Thursday comes, people know what's going on. Rather, Shalosh Tainios Harishonos Sheni v'Chamishi. The first 3 fasts should be Monday, Thursday, Monday. But once you get them rolling, so then Shalosh Nios, the next 3 can be Chamishi Sheni v'Chamishi. Can be Thursday, Monday, Thursday. Meaning you can do Monday, Thursday, Monday, Thursday, Monday, Thursday. But Rabbi Yossi Omer, Kishem she'en harishonos b'chamishi, kach lo shniyos v'lo achronos. Rabbi Yossi says no. Each set has to start on Monday. Monday, Thursday, Monday. The second set of 3 has to be Monday, Thursday, Monday. And the last set of 7 has to be Monday, Thursday, Monday for 7 times, etc. The Mishnah continues, Ein gozrin Taanis al hatzibur b'rashei chadashim. We don't decree fasts on the congregation on Rosh Chodesh, b'Chanukah, u'b'Purim. And we don't make fasts on Chanukah, and we don't make fasts on Purim. V'mischilu ein mafsikin. However, if they started in, let's say, the series of fasts that we're talking about, and it fell out on one of these days, so then you can continue fasting. Divi Rabbi Gamliel, that is the opinion of Rabbi Gamliel. Amar Rabbi Meir. Rabbi Meir said, Afal Amar Rabbi Gamliel, ein mafsikin, even though Rabbi Gamliel says you still maintain the fasts, even though they come out now on Rosh Chodesh or Chanukah, still, Moda Haya, he agreed, she'en mashlimin. You don't complete the fast. You could start the fast, but you don't complete the fast. As well, it says, V'chein Tisha B'av shechal liyos be'erev Shabbos. The same is true if Tisha B'av falls out on Erev Shabbos, that you do not fast on a Friday Tisha B'av, rather, it gets pushed off. All right. So the Gemara will now break down this Mishnah step by step, and we'll end up going back over the different parts of the Mishnah as we learn the Gemara.